Right, so I suppose it's time to pull away from the drama of Division 2, where there's a lot of like content information coming out with Heartland and the new DLC and bloody blah, but I'm not particularly too fussed about Heartland. Apparently it does have a PvE mode. Not a big PvP person, in case you can't tell. So I'm not particularly too fussed, and as much as I like hearing that there's new content coming out, just the fact that they've told me or said, not me personally, but I've been informed by one means or another that there's new content coming out, that's enough for me. I quite like the fact that it could potentially then be a surprise. So I'm now looking at weird and wacky ways in which I can switch up different builds, as well as just make general new shiny builds. And Tip of the Spear Sniper build was one that actually got me thinking. It's statistically the best sniper build in the game. I mean, there are other weird and wacky ways in which you can get more damage out of your primary and secondary weapon, and even potentially even your pistol, but then when you calculate in the fact that you have or are generating 2 specialization ammos for that TAC 50 every minute, and if you equate that into the DPS, it then just gets stupid. Basically, Tip of the Spear Sniper build is busted. So I kind of wanted to see what would happen if you were used that on something like the grenade launcher. I will be doing one where we use the Technician missile launcher or the Survivalist crossbow. Pretty pointless doing it on the flamethrower and the minigun for obvious reasons. You generate 2 ammo every minute. You'd be there all year before you fill up a mag. So I was thinking, grenade launcher works quite well. Maybe not against heavies, but against little trash mobs. Could we work something out here? And what I've actually created is actually a fun little build. From the off, this is not a particularly powerful build. I like using it as something fun to play. When you're first using it, it feels a bit clunky, and I am actually looking at changing one thing because I don't like the mortar turret. I'm aware mortar builds are really powerful and they do some seriously epic damage, but I find them so clunky to use, aim, operate. But I just don't like it. I really do not like it. So I'm actually thinking of swapping out one of the pieces to something else, and then using the normal boring turret, which does effectively higher DPS. It's just there for a very simple reason, and that is to proc Perfect Spark. And we've also gone for Perfect Spark for a very specific reason as well, over just normal Spark. But yeah, this is a 4-piece Tip of the Spear build using the Demolitionist. So we've got a nice big grenade launcher, and it works quite well. Well, it works okay. Like I said, it feels a bit clunky because you are basically trying to grenade things on repeat just to keep your damage buffs up. The mortar turret is clunky to use, and when you've got the mortar turret out and then you swap to the grenade launcher, you have these series of circles kind of flying everywhere, and it's very disorientating and a bit obnoxious. But yeah, I'll go over what I would suggest about that. Don't you worry. Now, 4-piece Tip of the Spear. This actually works pretty damn well because it increases your specialist weapon damage by 10%, increases your weapon damage by 10%, and you generate 2 pieces of specialization ammo. If you're using the backpack, which you should be, 2 pieces of specialization ammo every minute, and when you hit something, which is pretty easy to do with a grenade launcher by the way, you get 40% weapon damage. Basically meaning there is at no point should you have this buff deactivated, because it will always be active. Running an interesting choice of weapon as well. Safety distance. Killing enemy gives 125% optimal range and accuracy, I think it was. This actually works out pretty damn well, even if I do say so myself. and the end result is actually an SMG that can actually kick out a little bit of damage with its accuracy over range, and it really actually does show. Wouldn't say it's my favourite SMG, but it's definitely up there, and obviously there are SMGs that are better suited, but I just wanted to use safety distance, so I'm also trying to find a use for the apartment. But yeah, it's actually just something a bit different. Really just wanted something a bit different. And it does work well for what I intended it to do, which was just throw booms everywhere, which is all anyone really needs, isn't it? We just need a big boom from time to time. Have a bit of a laugh, have a bit of fun. Try not to get yourself killed by mortaring yourself. But yeah, anyway, what we are running is... I'll show you in a minute. First of all, we're going to do a little bit of show and tell with the DPS of the weapon. Just because, weirdly, people still like this. So, right, let's put our lovely heroic range to named elite. And because we're running an SMG, my accuracy sucks. 5 meters. Oh, God, excuse me. Right, body shots hitting about 340,000, just over. And... being an SMG and its accuracy, body shots is basically going to be the way to go. I mean, you can go for headshots, and we hit about 420,000, 435. Yeah, works out pretty okay. But if we just give those guys over there a lovely little spam to get our buff up, body shits, shh, don't tell YouTube. Body shots now hit over 400,000. Headshots creep into the 520,000. Not the highest, not the lowest, and we're now going to try and... No, can't squeeze that one through. Can we work this from over here? Pretty sure that's just going to teleport back to us, isn't it? Yeah, never mind. Right. Give me a sec while I try and figure this out. Yoink. Right. So there's that. Right, that's 459,000 on the body shots. And then still got tip of the spear active, which is nice. I suppose an easy way to do it would actually just be going over here in the first place. So what we're going to do is give that the old mortar, get the old grenade launcher out, and then just start. Pop goes the weasel. So yeah, we're hitting about 3 mil. Wasting an entire mag of the grenade launcher, but it's kind of worthwhile because we can demolish stuff. What more do you want? Right, anyway, how do we actually have this built up? 4-piece tip of the spear, as you can see, and I'm running 2-piece Gruppo. 1 for the crit damage, 2 for the explosive damage. In hindsight, running door kicker's knock with a Sokolov holster would be better, and then just swap out the mortar turret to the normal turret, and that will probably net you more DPS as well as stop the obnoxious aiming of the mortar turret. Unless you really want to use the mortar turret, then go for it. So we're basically running crit chance, crit damage everywhere. We are rolling only crit damage on the tip of the spear pieces, just because SMGs come with 21% crit chance anyway. And obviously the main reason we are running door kicker's knock is because the buff for perfect spark is 20 seconds. On a normal spark, I believe it's 15. The cooldown for the mortar turret is 17 seconds. So basically meaning we should be able to keep our mortar turret up and active at all times. Door kicker's knock is quite handy for this. So, positives. This build's actually really quite fun. Like, I've honestly been enjoying playing this build for quite some time now. It's quite hilarious. Just sort of being like, nope, with a grenade launcher. and buffing myself while I'm at it. It's quite fun and enjoyable. You do a surprisingly large amount of damage as well, just because of the combination in rotation between SMG, the mortar turret, as well as the grenade launcher. Like, overall DPS, combining all of them at max stacks, is actually quite phenomenal, but it's not the highest, nowhere near. But it's just fun to play. It's quite a bit of a gimmicky build, and definitely one to annoy your friends with, especially if you can't aim that bloody mortar turret. Cons, it's clunky. Like, it really is clunky. Just because you've got so many large optical reticules of AoE effects basically going everywhere, you don't really have too many options to defend yourself other than trying to blow them up before they get to you. And if they get too close to you and you try and blow them up, you kind of blow yourself up. There's not a lot of defensive tactics involved either. Like, you've got no real way to heal yourself. I know for a lot of endgame players that's not an issue. Deal with it. Me personally, if I'm running DPS, I like to have some sort of healing capability or skill on me, along with the revive hive. I know this isn't the biggest thing for a lot of people, but that's just how I play. And if you are someone like me, not being able to heal yourself outside of just using an armor kit can get frustrating, because you always feel like you're one wrong move away from dying. And finally, we have two mixed points. The first one is you kind of take out the trash really quickly and easily. You can either just grenade them or just mortar them, or with full buff active you can just absolutely slaughter them with the SMG, depending on what SMG you are using. You don't have to use safety distance. It's just, I'd never really used it and I wanted to put it in a build. So here we are with safety distance in a build. That's literally the only reason I picked safety distance. I also really wanted to see sort of how perfect outside art worked with an SMG. It works. It's not as good as I thought it would be. I thought, for at least a second or two, I would have assault rifle accuracy and damage output. It struggles though against the heavier, either just normal named elites or chungers. You really do struggle big time, just because it doesn't have that outright punch. Most of your larger bits of burst damage are coming from explosions, and the explosions versus armor is iffy at best. And yeah, kind of can lead you into a little bit of a mess. And the last sort of mixed point is it is really easy to get your buffs up. Like, just grenade an area with the grenade launcher and mortar an area with the mortar. It's really easy to keep your buffs up, to get your buffs in the first place, and then secondly to keep them up. The downside to this is pretty much like 60% of your damage output, which is a huge amount, is buff orientated. So if you don't get your buffs up, you are not going to have a good time. I don't know how else to put it. So yeah, it's easy to get your buffs up, but if you don't, for some reason, just forget, you lose track of time, you're not watching your little tip of the spear buff counter, or you miss the shot with the mortar turret. One of the main reasons why I'm wanting to actually swap to the normal turret, because it just auto tracks enemies and just shoots them, so I can probably have it up a lot more rather than having to rely on the mortar. But I thought it was originally quite cool and quirky, and it's just annoying and obnoxious. But yeah, getting your buffs up is easy, but if you don't get your buffs up or you lose track of time, you honestly really do suffer with how little damage you do at the end of it, and it's can be a complete struggle. As you can probably see here, I'm struggling, like horrifically struggling, because that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I'm liking saying that lately, I don't know why. Anyway, that just about does it for me. Maybe try this build out. If you've got any suggestions on a way I can make it infinitely better, keeping with the 4-piece tip of the spear gimmick, do let me know. Wouldn't mind, particularly if people did the whole like, comment, subscribe thing. I'm trying to get a little bit more notice in the Division 2 community. Going, doing the rounds, joining discords, commenting on other people's videos and whatnot, answering random questions and trying to get involved with community topics. But yeah, so I wouldn't mind if you'd be so kind. Have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.